Hello folks, Captain Liam here. A couple of minutes still to go live, but I'm just looking and we'll see where we go from there. Hope everyone's well. If anyone wants to kind of say hello or leave a message in the bottom, feel free. Lovely to see you, Jeanette, Simon, Lisbeth's here, Yacht Food Supplies. Hello everyone, my name's Liam. Pleasure to meet you. There's a wave. I just want to try something different. There's no real format here. This is me being authentically me, and I hope you can hear me okay. As Yachty World has joined, hope everyone can hear me okay. And we're trying to do rooms here. It's a different type of thing I've never done in the past before. But I want to see if Alex can pop up from Yachty World, and we're after Captain Scott Kidd as well. Sometimes if you want to join, there's a request to join button. Says Yachty World's unable. They're unable to join, but that's all right. We'll see how we roll. We've got a couple of minutes. Just be patient. If anyone's got any questions, just put them in the comments as well. Like I said, this is an open format. There's no right or wrong here. It's just about discussing the week, the challenges we've had, and today we're going to be going over the red flags in yachting. So if anyone's got any questions there about red flags in yachting, I'm happy to answer them. Things like contracts, things like crew turnover, what I'm kind of interested in as well. I see Yachty World's there. I might try and invite Yachty World again, see if they can accept. But if anyone wants to request to join, there's a little button down the bottom that should say request to join. By all means, join.
You made it.
There's someone I know.
How's it going, Captain Liam?
Honoured always, my friend. Honoured, wonderful to see you again.
Great to see you again, and congrats on your ISS Awards. Distinguished Crew Award right here, people.
No,
Captain
I can't.
Liam made it.
I can't take it alone, my friend. I can't take it alone at all. Yourself, the Unbridled team, owners, it was a beautiful effort. And it's hard kind of looking back at our journey, Alex. And how do you feel about our journey that we went on together? Because you came and left. You came to footage. You're part of the crew, brother.
I did feel like part of the crew, and I was very passionate about being part of the Unbridled series. I still am. And to see you collect the award for all of us was amazing. It was a proud moment, that's for sure. So well done again. Well done to the team.
Yeah, it was a lot, because it's, people realise, and this is an open format, Alex, so I hope you don't mind if I be transparent as well, that crew come for a certain period, 3 months, people like Matt and Brooks that we love, and they left for their journey as a captain on a catamaran, and they were with us on and off for like 6 or 8 months. And I always try and tell crew, don't put a time to it. You know what I mean? Like, come, do your journey. When you feel like you need a break, have a break, and you're always welcome back. But Matt and Brooks, you remember Matt and Brooks?
Of course, yeah.
Beautiful people, and different people along the way as well. But you blessed us with your presence in how many places?
That's a good question. Quite a few. There was Fort Lauderdale, there was Miami, there was St. Thomas, there was
Panama.
Panama was amazing. Costa Rica, I'll never forget that trip. Amazing. And hopefully see you on the West Coast at some point as well.
Yeah, we're up in Seattle at the moment, heading down. But let's see if we can get a lot of people there. Appreciate everyone's waves. Mark, 79, Mark Norwell, 79, thanks for joining. Doytail, I don't know all these people yet, but I hope I didn't pronounce that wrong. But the purpose of this, Alex, and we can kind of start off, and I think Captain Scott might be joining us and Caroline may be joining us. But the purpose of this is just to check in, to see how you are. You had a huge week, so I'm going to start with you, brother. How did you survive the Fort Lauderdale boat show? 4 days of non-stop
action, and also the preparation before that is also quite intense. You're setting up, you're trying to plan everything ahead and make sure everyone's happy and make sure that you can connect with all the right people. And then you just kind of let it go and you let it flow, and things just unfold naturally and better than you expect. So it was fantastic. My voice is still recovering, but I managed my energy levels pretty well. I didn't overdo the partying, although that is a big part of our industry. So you've got to show up and socialize and connect with people, have a few drinks, you know how it works. But I've learned to manage my, you know, my party life a little bit better than I used to. I think everyone goes through that period in yachting. I remember just starting out, coming from the crew house days. You know,
Yeah.
it's wild. You figure out where your limits are, and you've got to take those lessons and let it carry you forward.
Well, you
So
don't figure out where your limits are, and you keep
some
going.
people don't. Some people don't, and I think that's appropriate for today's live because red flags is a big one. I've been on board some yachts where people don't know their limits, and you get trapped in that culture, and you've got to be careful not to overdo it. You know,
Yeah.
there's many, many late nights and very early mornings, and yeah, it's all about managing energy. As you get older, like us, Captain Liam,
Yeah.
the
You're
battery gets
still
a
younger.
little.
Still younger than brother. Just sent, Scott's trying to join here, so I just sent him a link to. But yeah, I mean, it's a two-way street. We talk about red flags. We've got a question from Daniel here. What advice would you give to a junior deckhand that has got some experience but not had a permanent role? So if you're a junior deckhand, you haven't got much experience, and you've not had a permanent role, is for me, what is permanent? Permanent, temporary, day work. It's the journey, isn't it, Alex?
Absolutely, 100%. I would like
Oh,
to.
to
Is
his own.
there a way that we can have Daniel join us on this Instagram live, or has Instagram not gotten there yet? You're the live expert, Captain Liam.
No, 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 not at all, actually. But I'm in the journey. But if Daniel, you want to join quickly, or someone, there's usually a request to join when you start. If you enter, press that request to join, you'll be able to come up. So in Instagram rooms, you can have 4 people. So if you want to request to join, we're just trying to get Scott on here as well. He's excited. I know Caroline for Super Yacht Services Guide's excited as well. He's got some good friends over there. But I'll send it again, Captain Scott, see if I can get you on.
So
But
if I have to provide some feedback to Daniel over here, just keep going. You got to persist until you succeed. You know, you've got to keep applying for those jobs, be in the right spots. There are some, you know, yachty bars where you can meet other yachties. You got to be around the right network. You got to constantly, you know, meet people before you get on to your first position. So networking is key, and persistence as well. And just keep in touch with your employers, get your references, and learn as much as you possibly can.
oh, there's a beautiful person in the group there, Uriel from Mexico. Lovely to see you there, brother. But like I was saying, we're going to start off. Scott may join us or may not, so I want to make sure people's time is valuable, and I appreciate that time people are putting in. So the reason we're doing this, welcome to the Tuesday's check-in, or check-in Tuesday, we want to call it. It's just a space, like I said, where we can be honest, where we can be transparent and talk about the difficult questions. It's not edited, so it's our authentic selves. We can have people join during the week. Every Tuesday, if you want to join, please just write requests to join. And if there's room in the space, we'll bring you in. So it's an interactive community. The goal of the community is to talk about the real truths of yachting, to ensure that we address the things that people are concerned about. And we had a good question from Daniel. He's only had temp work and he's trying to get permanent. Just stay there. Just stay there. Just keep trying to get those temp ones. Show up every day. Be present. We'll go from there. What are your thoughts on a Tuesday check-in, Alex? When I first kind of approached it to you, what's your take on it?
I think it's a great initiative. If we check in every single Tuesday, we keep it consistent and we touch on those topics, as you said, such as wellness and leadership and just general skill sets that the people are looking for. I think we can help a lot of people, and also it's nice to hang out and chat. So yeah, let's try and do this every Tuesday. It's around the same time. Um, you just reached out to me the other day. It's like, hey, let's do this on Tuesday. And I can't say no to you, Captain Liam, because you're always onto something great. And I know it always unfolds to something even better. So I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, no, we'll see how we go with it. I mean, there's no real format. Today we wanted to talk about red flags in yachting. It's
Right.
something I'm passionate about. And I started off with saying it's a two-way street. So as crew, they look for red flags. And I kind of ran over the 5 red flags the other day, which was contracts, making sure that you have a contract, which was safety familiarization. When you board a vessel, take time. And if you're not getting a safety familiarization, that's a first red flag right there. And you need to just be patient and just request it. And if it doesn't come in the first day or 24 hours like it should with Cayman Islands, then turn around and maybe write an email saying I'd like to do a familiarization. There's different forms. Negative crew culture is one, high turnover rate, late pay, unrealistic goals. What's something that you've seen in the industry, let's say from the crew side, looking at the employer, looking at the captain? And I don't mind having a target. You know, I want people to be upset. I want people to be frustrated. What are your red flags that you see?
For me, it's lack of communication. If I have to put myself back into that junior position where I was trying to get on board, I wanted to know what to expect. And sometimes they would say they would buy you a flight ticket and you put everything else on hold. You've got another position that you could apply for, but you really want this one, and then people will just ghost you. You know, I see that happening a lot in the industry. They say, okay, we're going to book your flight, and then nothing happens. So only get excited once they have sent your flight ticket. Otherwise, keep applying for jobs. Don't hold your breath for that one position. I've seen that many times. I've experienced it too. So lack of communication, like you said, contracts is a big one too. If they don't send you a contract, you also have no idea what you're getting yourself into. They can also just fire you after a few days too. And now you're back at square one and you've lost all those other opportunities. So constant communication, face to face is good as well. There's no excuses now. And if they're in the same city as you, you might as well meet in person rather than online. Well, eventually it gets to that. Um, yeah, that's one thing.
I mean,
Also,
Chris here's written, surround yourself with the right crowd. Don't get influenced by the party life. Dock walk, use the group's social media is your best asset nowadays. So
yeah,
Chris, what's the group's social media? What are those things? I know I'm
I
on
guess
social media, but
WhatsApp groups are very popular
okay.
these days.
Yeah, okay. WhatsApp group social media. Okay.
Facebook groups.
I
Um,
I do think social media has its space as well, though.
yeah, absolutely. Let me
There's another
see.
one from Chris there. It only takes one bite and your life's on track and the career has started. Yeah, we talk a lot about people getting their break. You know, and I think we talked about that yesterday, didn't we, or today, Alex? I felt like I've never got a break, but I'm just blessed on the journey that I've been on because some breaks aren't always the best. You know, like a lot of crew, they kind of go to the greener pastures, Alex. I think that's what it's called. Where they always look for greener pastures, and then 6 months later, they're in the job market again. You know, or 3 months later. So, but we're talking about red flags here. So contracts, make sure you have a contract, correct?
100% contracts. What should crew look out for in their contracts? What are the red flags within there? Because you've sent a lot of contracts through. What's your standard format, right?
Cayman Island Shipping Register, you know, CISR, which is an MLC compliant contract, is really, really important. You're looking for that stamp, that Cayman Island stamp on your contract. You're looking for who is the owning company. That's a big one. You're looking for, then you can ask the question about who's the management company, but the owning company should be on there. Then you're looking for your notice period is the first one. So people will talk about what's your notice period. So I kind of first, is it got a Cayman Island stamp? If it's a Cayman Island flag vessel, MLC compliant, Maritime Labour Convention, then I'd say make sure you can see the owning company. And okay, it won't make the name of the boat. That's something you've got to realise. But at least you know there's an owning company there relative that should match the British registry. But the notice period is the big one for me because that's what you're holding on to. Is that when you walk on board or there's something that happens, you have the right to walk up to the bridge or email the bridge. I always recommend in writing, if you're going to have a change of heart, is just give it a notice in. Captain, I'd like to have a meeting. I've just sent you an email. Here's a written notice. I really appreciate working here. And you don't have to give a reason. And I think that's quite important to notice as well.
100%.
What would you look for in contract?
For me, obviously, what are you getting paid? The date you're getting paid, time off, like just yeah. What do you receive? Some I've heard of some boats saying that no uniform is required, no lunch is required, which for me is obviously a straight up red flag. So, oh,
Very
there
much
we
so.
go.
We have Daniel here.
He made it.
Hi there, guys.
Sorry about that, Daniel. I'm well. How are you?
Good, thanks. Good, thanks. Just in very, very cold Scotland, where it's like -2 or 3 degrees at the moment, or what it feels like.
Wow.
So,
With that accent up there.
yeah, I mean, half Scottish, and then also proudly South African as well. So,
Go Boca.
do enjoy the biltong. I've seen on your story recently as well. So,
Oh, I'm Australian, so I love biltong, but I've got a tough crew. They're like more nervous than some of the maneuvers I do on the boat, I think, backing up.
yeah, I can imagine.
I'm like, all right, is it too salty? And they're like, vinegar, which vinegar did you use? I'm like, sorry, I went red wine vinegar. Like, they're like, how?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's going to be a critic, especially South Africans when it comes to our most important things, being our meats and things like that. So,
Yeah, exactly. Have you got a question for us there, Daniel? What do you think?
um, so I was actually gonna speak about so just in terms of like mental health and stuff, especially whilst being on a boat, obviously you're going to be in quite a unique surrounding amongst people that you've never met up until then. I've got a few friends that are working on boats and trying to manage their own mental health. And for your experience on your boats that you guys have worked on and been a captain on, for example, how would you best say is a way to manage your mental health whilst being on like quite turbulent boats in terms of different personalities and also, for example, dealing with charter guests and things like that?
Um, well, yeah, Alex, I'll just start with Daniel, good question. But Alex, if you don't mind, as a co-host, I'll have a quick answer to this one. Is that okay, Alex?
Of course, go for it.
There's no one size fits all in
Yeah,
mental health. And I'd rather call it mental fitness because then it changes the narrative from what can I do in the sense of all these pressures around me to what are the solutions to what I can do, such as fitness. If I want to run a marathon, I have to start training and get a plan. So that's where the word mental fitness has really resonated with me. And I've been in those positions, horrible situations, even as a captain, and I'll be honest and vulnerable and say, as a captain, when the charter guests having challenging times, the crew have a dynamic which is difficult, and I feel like the world's kind of coming apart. So what I usually do is I kind of, and there's no one size fits all, I really just turn it back to getting up about 15, 20 minutes earlier and saying, this is not my problem. My problem is how I can prepare myself for my day, and I get my chamois and I get my pole and I get my hose because I'm not responsible for their baggage. I know that's really rude. Does that kind of make any sense though, Daniel?
yeah. From what you've said there, it kind of is almost like, okay, I can't deal with the different pots and different things that are going on in everyone else's life. I can only control what I can do and what I'm able to do. So just focus on your own self, and then afterwards you will be in a better place because then you aren't having to try and clean someone else's pot or try and do someone else's thing for them. Focus on yourself because then you're better able to help yourself and then potentially even help others if you do go on to do that, if you decide to do that, for example.
Oh, amen to that, brother. Amen to that. Helping others is the best, but it's like I said, it's not your baggage, and you can find space. And the moment you'll see it, if you hold that mental thought, and then someone says, "Oh, this person said this person said that," and you say,
Yeah,
"Beautiful sunrise. Did you see the sunrise this morning?" And
yeah,
the moment you win that victory of not engaging in that negativity or in that moment of space, you've won. And that's given you a little coat of armor. And then, all right, mental fitness is coming in again. And let the
yeah,
turmoil happen. Let the storm happen. It's not your storm. You're designed. You have to hold your position and hold your role, and to a point where if you hear abuse, physical, mental, emotional, sexual, all that stuff, that's the line, and that's out. Pull the parachute, give the notice, walk away. Any
Yeah.
form of abuse is not acceptable. What are your thoughts, Alex? Because it's a very good question, Daniel. I appreciate you taking the time to ask it.
I
Well,
like
good.
how you speak about mental fitness. That kind of takes the power back into your own hands, which is fantastic. And also just, practicing gratitude instead of engaging with negative behavior, because it's so easy to get caught up in negative behavior, especially if it's coming from your head of departments and you try and mirror what they're doing, which happens a lot on boards. If your chief officer is constantly negative and talking bad about somebody else, you think that in order to secure your position, you've got to engage with their behavior, which I've seen and experienced myself. So, yeah, practice gratitude. If you think of where you came from, where you just wanted to get on that position and get on that boat and you finally made it, but now you've experienced that toxic culture, which happens, which is a big problem in a lot of boats, especially when people are drained and tired and fed up. Yeah, practicing gratitude where you are, just look up, check out the sunrise, like Liam said, and yeah, just be grateful for where you are, because these vessels are amazing. I remember the first time all I wanted to do was be on that boat. And then when you're on that boat, you're grinding, you're working longer hours than you've ever done before. And you're like, why am I doing this? Why am I, all I feel like I'm doing is scrubbing teak all the time. And then you look up and then you just remind yourself, I'm living the dream, and this is part of the price. So,
Oh,
yeah.
another question here from Liam. And join us, Daniel. Feel free to leave, come as you feel comfortable. We got a question here. Liam's interested in some day work questions. Go ahead, Liam, if you've got any questions there or requests to join. Captain Scott is trying to join. He's an unbelievable man. Daniel, are you familiar with Captain Scott?
Captain Scott. I am
Yachting
not
real
actually
estate
familiar.
investor.
I don't think I am.
Wonderful man. A very, very humble man, and he's a wonderful captain. He's trying to join as well. Kelly and crew are here. Also,
Anything else, Daniel?
Um, to be dead honest, you guys have kind of nailed some of the questions head on that I was going to pose to you. I mean, for me trying to get into the industry, I've got roughly about, I'd say, 2 months worth of day work experience. I had a temp contract which was going to be seasonal, but unfortunately there was problems with the boats and stuff like that. And right now, what I'm facing is trying to apply from online at the moment until I get financially, trying to get into a better financial position is what I'm trying to say before I then go back out over to Europe or go to America to then try and get work. Right now, I am in a position where I want to try and enhance my skill set from home as much as I can so that I then go through to the likes of the Med or the Caribbean, and I'm not then going into that step one again. So, how would you best say is the best way to kind of enhance your skill set or make sure that you don't end up being that rusty person when you then step back into it and then try and get a position and you're not like kind of scrambling around like a headless chicken? Because I don't know about you guys, but obviously when you've done it for quite a while, you would be very, very much like, okay, cool, it's second nature. But for someone that's trying to get in when you've had to take a small break for financial reasons or whatever the case is, um, trying to make sure you don't step back into it at step one, you stepping back into it at step two or step three.
yeah, good question. But I'd take away, honestly, I'd take away the steps, because every time I leave port,
Okay.
if I make a mistake and hit a rock, I'm all the way back to zero. You know what I mean? So, I'd take away the steps, because the courage you have of joining a live group with Alex and myself, that's beautiful. That's wonderful what you've done. So
Doing it.
you're doing it. You know what I mean? And it's not really about kind of, I'm a day worker or temporary permanent, because people get permanent all of a sudden want to do freelance. So the journey isn't so much the status that you're trying to obtain, It's the commitment you have to finding a job, or to, when you're on a job, being that good crew member that helps others. Because they're the crew members that I kind of look for, is the ones that come with different skills. You could get a small barista course. You could get it, and that may give you a value. You may get the crew coach has wonderful courses. There's some awesome online courses that you can do as well. So just while you're looking for a job, spend that time either doing whether it's meditation or reading books or physical fitness or joining communities like Marathon for Mental Health. The more kind of you engage in that, the closer you are to touching people who can work towards getting you the next position you're after. What are your thoughts, Alex? I mean, it's a
Yeah,
good.
that was great. I would also say I've been in your position before, where you kind of out of the loop. You're not in the Med, you're not in the Caribbean, you're not in Fort Lauderdale, you're in Scotland. So I would say look for relatable jobs while you're there. I know I met these guys called Scotland Nautique. They sell great little tenders or toy boats, water sports boats. Go check them out. They're out in Scotland, and I can even probably connect you with them. Keep joining communities like this, because we can connect you to those people that can connect you to other people, or even provide you with day work where you can learn some new skills. And that's all relatable to what you're trying to achieve. Working at a restaurant as well could help you in terms of service and people relations, just anything. I'm sure there's boats out there that you can offer your day work services to, even if it is free. I did it for free in the beginning, just so I knew what I was doing, and I could add that to my CV and get a reference. So yeah, think outside of the box. I don't think there's many super yachts out there, but you can find some boating brands and boating companies that can help set you apart.
Yeah, good
No,
on you. It's tough. I do
100%.
feel, Daniel, it's very tough. You know what I mean? But I'm looking at crewing up next April. So send me your resume, and punch it up, make it look colourful. You've got to kind of reinvent yourself sometimes in life. And I looked at my resume the other day for some reason, and Alex, I was like, you know what? You know what a good resume would look like? Is the front page of Time magazine. You know that classic look of a front page of Time magazine? You know what I mean,
Think
Dave?
outside the box.
So
That's
you put Time
unique.
magazine, you put your profile picture on, you put your name on it, you put your date, date of birth.
Position. I love that idea. If you received a CV like that, you would probably put that on top of the pile, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Think
So
outside the box. Be creative.
be creative, reinvent it, and just you got to just keep that mental fitness, keep that training, and don't give up. At the
It's
end of
all
the day,
about.
not the steps you're. It's really a beautiful journey, and the more you spread that opportunities you might have, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, all these different messages, joining things like this, Daniel. People, a lot of people are viewing this right now, and it'll be recorded, and put your resume out there or in a link or however it works, and it's a beautiful thing you're doing. So you're gonna be fine. Just hold faith and keep on the path you're doing.
Build your personal brand. So, like Captain Liam said, with creating a CV that looks like a Time magazine, or like you on the front cover of the Forbes magazine, I think that would be unique and put you at the top of the pile. And that will help you get a job all the way from Scotland rather than being in the hiring ports. Because I understand the financial situation you're in. It's hard to sustain crew house living. You need to be there to get the job, but you need a job to be there. That's very challenging. Just think outside the box, be creative, build your personal brand, connect with people online. Social media is a great tool to build community, and people will help you out. People like to help others.
Cool. Well, this is about
Uh,
red flags too, so we'll keep on powering through it. I'm really trying to
That's
get
true.
Alex to stay around, Daniel, or leave. It's entirely up to you, whatever you're comfortable with. I know another gentleman here who comes from fishing vessels, JTX, whoever you are. How can you get into yachting as an 18-year-old with experience aboard fishing vessels? What credentials to get in? STCW, ENG1. Speak to Melanie, I believe, at West Nautical. She has a great program for people to learn about yachting, because a fishing vessel has a slightly different etiquette to what the yachting community does. So she runs a course. I forget the name of the course. Do you know Melanie, Alex?
I don't think I do.
Marathon for Mental Health she's just done. But she's got a
Okay.
Yeah, so West Nautical, great introductory course as well. So at 18, STCW, ENG1, plenty of boats looking for fishing guides. Just diversify your skill set. There's another gentleman, how can the Simple Day Worker? So that's a nice Instagram name, Daniel. The Simple Day, that stands out. You can change your Instagram name, I think, too. So
Yeah, I think you can.
here we go. So we're trying to. Do you want to still stay with us there, Daniel? What do you think?
Um, I will stay in the live. I just need to help out my mom with something, but I will be staying in the live. Don't worry. I have to go and be an RT whiz for a bit, so I'll be in the live, just ready to pop in whenever you guys are available. So
Cool. I'll just remove you from
It was
the
great to
cool.
chat to
That's
you.
perfect. Thank
Good
you so
luck.
much, guys. I really appreciate all of that. Perfect.
So if anyone else wants to join, just see if you can just add yourself there, request to join. I'm just working it out, Alex. So we got one person to request to join. I still want to get Captain Scott here, but I think I've got to add him as a moderator. How do you feel about that, Alex?
I think that's great. Yeah.
I don't know what happens when you add someone as a moderator though. All
Well, let's
right, you,
figure it out.
you
So
request.
Scott can't come in. Maybe if he goes out of Instagram, tries again, and requests that button, maybe that will help.
Okay, well, I just accepted someone to come in. Let's see how that person goes. We've got some questions. A decade and 2 years. I've had two permanent. He wants to get more tender experience. Good question. Your tender experience is quite tough, actually. I've got to admit. I have a lot of crew come my way and I push them. The best way to get tender experience, in my eyes, is after 5 o'clock when you knock off and everyone's going for drinks. Ask the cap. Ask the cap. Say, mate, can I allocate some time to go around, or can I pick up people from the shore and bring them back when you're at anchor? That's the best way, I think, to get tender experience, is just be transparent with your head of department and your captain and say, I really need this on my resume. They may ignore you for a month or two, but if you come back again and say, look, I really need this on my resume, it becomes a situation where they realize that you want to progress. But with tender experience, the smaller the boat, the harder it is to drive. That's just a fact. The more exposure to elements. So, with tender experience, get the little rescue tender out there. Get the small little 4.7 out there. So that's kind of a tip for you. What do you think about that one, Alex?
What about the captains or chief officers who don't have the time to train you and won't give you that time? They want you to be good when you step on board, right?
Well, remember them, because you don't want to be one of those.
That's a red flag too. The people that don't have enough time to train. A lot
Yeah. You
of the
just need to
time
be,
people don't have the time.
you just got to be that keen person. So
Persistence.
we've talked contracts. Safety familiarization, it's a warning sign because you need briefings. So with safety familiarizations, first 24 hours. When you board a vessel, you must complete a familiarization, which is quite a big document that you need to make sure you do a walkthrough, at least 30 minutes or an hour would be nice. Know your escape routes, know your fire extinguishers, know your different areas of responsibility.
Muster station.
Muster station. So what are some other safety familiarization things that you've seen in the past, Alex?
Yeah, the watertight doors, escapes. What else? Just know every cabin as well. Say
The
that
big
again.
one I like to tell people is watchkeeping duties. What's your watchkeeping responsibilities? Who we got here? See anyone else? Oh, there we go. I think we may have Captain Scott join us here, which I'm super excited about as well. Let's see. I'm just figuring out this system, so bear with me. So yeah, safety familiarization is important, and then we'll go on to Captain Scott.
How's it going, Captain Scott?
Sorry for the
Okay.
technical difficulties. It's probably the user. It's probably the user.
Oh, well, with Alex, like, how do we do this? I said, I don't. We're in it together.
Yeah, I've never done it either, so that's pretty obvious.
Surprised I got this far. I was like, that's Alex. So we've answered some good questions, Captain Scott. I'm not sure. We had Daniel from Scotland or South Africa living in Scotland came and asked about how to get a job. We had some other questions about fishing vessels. But what's your red flags, Cap? What's the red flags you see in yachting?
Some of the red flags I see is, if somebody's running with a skeleton crew, smaller amount of crew and stuff like that, it's a big red flag for me because I've done that. I've had work for people that always wanted me to run skeleton. When you get done with a trip, cut down to like 3, 4 people when you really needed 9 or 10, and that always was a red flag. I mean, that was the only way I could do that. But I told everyone up front that, look, this is a low budget boat. We're no frills. We pay this amount. That's what it is. Um, we're going to have you on for 2.5 months, 3 months, and then that's it. We're going to train you to do everything because we're going to have some emergency situations on the boat that you're going to need to be able to jump right in on.
And do 2 or 3 rolls as well.
Yeah, yeah, you're going to be able to somebody's going to go down here and there, so you're going to need to take over some roll, the roll up ahead of you and the roll below you, and even far, in a whole nother department. So, and it's
Red flag because they're not, obviously the owner at the time is not committed to the investment,
yeah.
and there's other concerns. But also, I think the way, to be honest, I'd work on your vessel if I was in that situation. I'd enjoy the positivity. So it'd be a
Well,
good.
we did get I did end up having some good heads of the department, and we did have quite a bit of decent crew that I had to shuffle along to other people's boats that I knew. But we were all always the cross training that you guys brought up, where the header, the person ahead of you doesn't have time to teach you and guide you. That's a huge red flag. The way they communicate with you up front is usually the way they're going to communicate with you all the way through. So if they're poor in following up with you, poor in getting back to you, even when they're sending you the contract. And I granted people are busy and stuff, but it doesn't take much to say, hey, great to have you on. We're going to have you on board on such and such a date. Um, we're really busy right now. We're on charter, so give me a couple of days. It doesn't take much to do that, and that's just a common courtesy thing. If you don't get that initially, their communication style is very rough, then that could be a red flag too. I would dig deeper, check your network and check people around you that maybe know a little bit about the vessel, like crew talk. So, you'll know pretty quickly, even if you're pretty green, you can just go to where other crew are hanging out and check the boards and the message boards. Granted, all of it may not be true, but you can put together your own story if you get 3 or 4 different versions of it.
It also amplifies. I sometimes think as a captain, the way I treat my chief officer, I've got a wonderful chief officer and had great chief officers in the past, is the way they are going to treat. I hope they treat
Yes,
the junior crew
yes,
under them. And sometimes
yes,
I see the different heads of department treating someone bad, same as the owner treating the way he treats me. It's
yeah.
reflect. So that's why it's a red flag, because it's not a generational issue, but it's a corporate issue, a structural issue,
Mm.
management style.
It filters down the line, right?
You
Yeah.
say that's correct.
It definitely does because I mean my experience if I treat somebody poorly, that's just going to reflect negatively on everything else and we all have bad days and stuff like that, but if you have a bad day every day, then that's, I think Alex was saying if the chief officer's negative and always talking about negative things, you kind of feel obligated to kind of fall in line with that, but you don't have to. You can try to get them out of it. They may not like it, but if they're continually negative, it's probably not going to be the place for you anyway. So you probably just have to figure out what your next move is sooner than later.
Okay, well, that talks about negative crew culture as the red flag.
Yeah.
Anyone got any questions or anyone's request to join? I'm slowly figuring out the system. So if you've got any questions, please put them in there and we'll try and ask if you see the Alex or Scott. So that's negative crew culture. What about high turnover rate? Because that's a tough one. Like I don't know. Is it the culture of the captain? Is it the culture of the owner? Is it looking
The
for
boat.
Is it the
Yeah,
captain
it could be both.
industries? You can't find any decent crew. It's like
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
What do you take on that one, Cap and Alex?
It would depend because sometimes I've worked, just doing deliveries with people that I knew they were friends of mine, but they had ended up being very negative. But I met the owners and they were just beautiful, like super positive people, really nice. And I didn't, kind of. the buck stopped with the captain. So I guess it could be a bit of both, or it could be one or the other. A lot of times if the owner is very negative, it's tough to keep that keep that morale, especially for myself or whatever. I did many years on a program that, like I was saying, where it wasn't funded, wasn't really properly maintained and everything. But we did the best we could. It was mainly just because we were all got along really well and we were all wanted to be there. So we made it work, but it wasn't the ideal situation. But nothing in life is perfect. You're not ever going to get the perfect boat, perfect owner, perfect captain, perfect crew culture and stuff. But if you get a couple of those, kind of helps you get through. The main thing is if you get a good crew culture, you're
That's
you're
number
going to be
one.
golden. You
I
can
think
get through the rest of it. You can get through
that's
anything.
everyone's responsibility. That's
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
always say. It's not just the caps to be.
yeah,
I have bad days. It's not just the chef.
yeah,
Everyone has to help create a crew culture.
yeah,
When stewardess says, "Oh, let's do an outing," when everyone says no, well, it's like, well, just go, Try do a crew outing. Pick up some.
yeah, yeah.
But Chris Cole, you sound interesting. Chris Cole's here, he says, how do you find a genuinely professionally well-run vessel with good crew morale and real chances to grow? You help build it as a crew
Yeah.
member. You help build that, and you build it when the junior crewner comes in. You treat him great, and you teach him, and you take time to drive the tenders. He also says he struggled to stay positive this season. I appreciate your transparency, Chris. And join us, Chris, if you want to include to follow here or request to join. That'll be great. He wants to avoid the same situation. We're talking about the red flags. High turnover rate. To be honest with you, I'll be completely vulnerable too. I've got times where I turn over crew because I'm looking for something specific. I'm looking
Mhm.
for a specific diver who can fish. I'm looking for a masseuse. Sometimes on charter programs, Scott and Alex, that we need people that are multi-skilled. And it's hard finding that person. And sometimes you've got to go through 2 or 3 trial periods because they'll tell you the world on a resume. But and do they gel with the crew? So
Yeah.
as a junior cap, don't be afraid to make the tough decisions because that can negatively affect your team just as much if you don't decide to turn over crew and put someone better in that role.
I've got a
Yeah.
question for both of you captains here to flip the
Okay.
script somewhat. What are the red flags that you look out for on people's CVs and their resumes that could potentially help these guys maybe present themselves in the most authentic and best way possible? Captain Liam?
Go ahead, Scott. You go ahead.
Um,
We look for.
I would say, maybe a lot of different boats. Um, Sometimes it depends, I always ask them why, because I'd rather them be honest and know what they've actually did. Like, oh, well, I had some family stuff going on, or I wanted to go on holiday for 6 months or whatever, and that's fine. I mean, but I would say if they had a whole lot of other relevant, irrelevant experience, but that's hard to say because there's a lot of skills that you develop with a lot of these other jobs that have crossover. Because I've had the same thing where people have told me, well, getting a land job is going to be really hard because I don't have any of those relevant skills. I said, I would disagree wholeheartedly because you have all of those skills, probably even more because you have a extreme sense of service. Like we're not a dive operation. We're not a hotel. We're not a restaurant. We're not a concierge, but yet we're all of those at a high level at the same time.
Mhm.
So to make those happen, we develop these negotiation skills, these communication skills. We speak to billionaires that most people were not afraid to speak with them and converse with them. We plan out high level itineraries with excursions, and we might have to make probably 50 phone calls to make that happen. We have to be highly organized, um, and we have to execute. So all these skills do transfer. It's just especially the communication. If you can speak to other people well, that goes in any career that you're doing.
Yeah. So it's kind of exactly what Scott's saying. We're looking for people who, if you don't communicate well, if you
Yeah.
don't have those skills that, that you look for, Alex, they're the red flags that I kind of look for in crew. When you're saying, good morning, how are you? And they're like, yes, Cap.
Yeah.
Like, you're treating me like that, then you're
Yeah.
not guests like that. That's,
Hmm.
we practice what we play here in this business. And when you're on board and you step foot on that boat, it's you've got to be yourself and authentic,
Yeah.
but also your career, and it's a profession, and how you hold yourself in the crew mess, right? It says a lot about you. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? So they're kind
Yeah.
of the red flags I look for when someone's in the crew mess and they're making a mess, or I don't want to say I'm looking at all crew all the time, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to build a healthy crew culture. And if someone's
Yeah.
in the mess talking about something that's a sensitive topic to someone or disrespectful to someone, that doesn't help me build a good crew culture. And
Hmm.
they're the red flags I look for when people are a little bit too opinionated in a space that says something like to a junior crew member, like, you don't know anything. And that's
Yeah.
when more your crew go, on my last boat, I always did this, this, this. On my last boat, it was better. It doesn't matter. It's on.
Well,
I
you're
get
not
that
on your
point.
last boat. You're not
Yeah.
on your last boat. I mean,
This is,
it's one of those things where I know when I was younger, I was raised, you speak only when spoken to, you go in the room, you wait until the adults, you stand there until they tell you to leave.
yeah.
So I was fairly introverted when I was young. It might not show now, but I forced myself to get a job where I said, well, what's the job where I'm forced to go and talk to people? So I went and got a job as a waiter because I
Okay.
had to go and talk to people. So if that works for somebody, go. If you're bad at communication or just not comfortable with it, go and put yourself in that situation where you have to do it. Because when you get on the yacht, you will have to communicate effectively to everyone. And throughout life, I also knew that if I didn't communicate with other people and speak up for what I want, I wouldn't get it, or I wouldn't be able to work towards that. So it's something that you want to think out before you're coming in, is what skills can you provide, or where can you add value to everyone else, especially in communicating, or just any other skills, driving a boat, diving, free diving, anything. It doesn't have to be boat related, but I would sooner take someone that is personable, that gets along with everyone, that just wants to be there, because you can teach that person anything.
Yeah, well, that's why we had Daniel on before, and a great guy. But Daniel was like, what do I do? I'm here looking for a job. I'm like, well, do an online barista course and throw that at
Hmm.
you, mate. It doesn't matter. Like, it means that you have an ability to up your level. And like, I've seen stewardesses that are silent, quiet, don't say a word, and then pull out a violin and change
Wow.
the whole charter. And the guests are just going, wow, when did that come
Yeah.
from? And I'm like, so when you bring an extra skill to the table, when you're doing a beach setup and you can make a cocktail as a
Yeah.
deck, or you know what I mean, or you can do a snorkeling trip. They're the little
Yeah.
skills that you can pick up. The last kind of red flag that we kind of had mentioned last week, and good question, Alex, because it is a two-way street. That's what I
Yeah.
want people to
100%.
realize here. It's like you might be looking at red flags in, let's say, us or the boat, but we're also looking for red flags, and they come. And when I usually see 3 red flags, I'm like, time to have a conversation.
I
Let's
think this is a great opportunity to discuss those red flags so people can, change their behaviors as well. Because there's a lot of young crew that don't know any better. And
Hmm.
you don't know what you don't know. And if you can provide that, uh, if
yeah,
you can tell them what it is to look out for, they can probably change it beforehand
yeah. But like
because they're
Scott said,
also learning.
communication. That's what Cap said. Poor
Communication's huge.
lack of extra skills, where you just
Hmm.
want to do your thing. I'm just a deckhand. That's a
Yeah.
red flag for me. When someone says I'm just a deckie, I'm like, well, you just walk past some rubbish, and the
Yeah.
poor
Yeah.
the poor
Yeah.
students have to now pick that rubbish up and walk all the way outside to the bin
Hmm.
and put it when you've just left it. It's not a red flag, but it's things you look for as signs that
You're
show.
looking
Yeah.
for initiative at the end of
Yeah.
the day.
That's
Go the
General.
extra mile. Keep the crew mess tidy. Don't just leave your plate and wait for the stewardesses to clean it up. Go in, pack it away, Or let them
Exactly.
know that you have to run and tie the fenders or whatever because there's a storm coming, and he'll be
Yeah.
right back.
Yeah,
Exactly.
one thing I always look for too is just people that are willing to help other people.
Yeah.
Like even if it's not their job or their detail, and it could be 300 foot, 100 meter boat plus, and it's not your department, but if you see somebody struggling to get the trash off, hey, let me give you a hand,
Yeah.
or hey, I saw these glasses around. What do we do with that? You want me to put them away? Stuff like that, or you know hey, I saw you might need another hand with, you're in a tight space or whatever. You need another hand so we can help get that, that slide out or whatever. I mean, it's people that are willing to do that are usually going to learn a lot quicker. And that's something that I usually look for. And you usually see that within the first few hours of them, because generally when somebody comes on board, I like to meet them as soon as possible. And then we
Yeah.
do the safety briefing as soon as possible. And then just kind of walk around with them a minute just to get to know them. And then you end up relying on the other guys, because if you can bring the more skills you can bring and the more open you are to being dynamic, I
Yeah.
think it's a big thing because I want to teach them to do everything on the boat because I know Captain Liam, that's how we grew up. Like they would give you everything to do, all the responsibility, all the you know as much as possible. So I still have that mindset of cross training and everything else.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a lot of things to go. People are asking about resumes and salaries. We're going to check in every Tuesday. I'd love to see you again, always, Scott and Alex.
Yeah, yeah, I'll be here.
Yeah,
I'd love to be here. Once I can figure out this Instagram thing, I'll be here.
I'm
Practice.
adding you as a moderator. Like, I don't know what that means, man.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Press,
I
press
was
play.
just thinking too is another skill. A lot of people are pretty good before they, are good with social media and taking videos and stuff.
Yeah,
That's a really highly sought after skill nowadays on these boats because if you can make a nice charter video or nice video for the guests and the owners, they're very appreciative of that stuff. And I'm not the best at it, but you
that
know,
could be self-trained though. I mean, you
yeah,
get
you could
I
bring
phones,
that.
actually,
edit,
I,
case.
I met a charter client, charter guest at the boat show. He was out looking for boats for himself and maybe potentially another charter vessel. He's super undercover. You would never suspect that he's a charter guest. But I saw him, I pointed him out in the crowd. I'm like, hey, I remember you from 2015. This was 10 years ago.
Wow.
That's when I first started like creating charter videos. And it was, I did the best I
Ah,
could with my little
nice.
GoPros and I worked through the day, and then at night when I was supposed to be sleeping, I was putting the videos together so I could provide memories. And he said that he's still from the content that we took that time. His wife still has the profile picture from that trip.
Oh,
So
nice,
that was amazing. It was great to connect with him again.
nice.
So
Yeah.
yeah, just
Wanting to
start
go out,
where you're.
man, of Fort Lauderdale. I see you
Oh
all.
man, that's really cool, man.
It's a
That,
great
but
trip.
I mean, listen to that. I mean, you made memories for those people even 10 years later that she still has it on her phone. So,
Yeah.
if you can bring that kind of skill and stuff or anything like that, because that's what we do is we make memories for these people, and it's the red flags are unfortunate, but hopefully these things that we're going through are going to help people like jump ahead and kind of give them some more skills and be able to identify the bad boats, or the ones that aren't a good, not necessarily bad boats, the ones that aren't a good fit for them.
Is
Yeah.
there a perfect boat though?
No,
They say you can have a
no,
bad boat, a bad owner, but if you have a bad crew, you should leave. I haven't come across a perfect boat.
no,
Breakthrough from the outside, in Monaco looks incredible. It's like, oh my God, that's a dream boat, but you just don't know what's going on the inside. Plus, they can't say anything, so you will never know, right?
yeah, that everything's fine. Everything's fine.
Someone up with, I was building a boat once, and the architect was there, and the owner, and the interior designer, and everyone was there, like 10 people at a table. And they're like, Captain, what's your perfect boat? A yacht. And I said, it's a rowboat with my wife and a block of cheese and cheese. And someone on a
Cold
lake,
beer.
No maintenance.
fishing
Yeah.
rod, just simple, you know. That's
Yeah.
vote, mate. Just keep it quiet. But anyway, no, it automatically cuts off soon. So next week, if you'd like, gentlemen, I'd like to go into things about crew wellness and
Sure.
boundaries at sea. So wellness at sea and boundaries at sea, like how do they fit in and how can we succeed in this challenging environment? Because crew wellness is how we build our mental fitness, how we engage. I know for you, Scott, it's very important in your programs and your personal life. And Alex, I
Yeah.
see in your physical, you know, the challenges you put yourself through with your Muay Thai, correct?
That's
Oh, wow.
correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
Wow.
I saw your
that's
muscles
great.
the other day. I saw your muscles the other day, brother. You're looking
Wow.
strong.
Thank you. Thank you. It's great for building courage and mental toughness. So, for those, Daniel was mentioning how do you stay mentally fit? I would say do something that's super challenging, that's
Yeah.
outside of work. Fitness is the best way,
Fitness.
going
Yeah.
for a long, super hard run, or Muay Thai, where you get in the ring and you have to fight other people. I mean, that can really,
Yeah. Don't fight the other crew.
Yeah.
But, you know.
that
And
can
then
keep you
Scott,
fit
I was excited
mentally.
that you introduced me to breathing, breath work.
Yeah. Breath work I do every morning. I've been doing it for over 5 years, and it's something you can do in your cabin when you wake up. Right when you wake up, if you can find a quiet spot. Sometimes when you're on charter, it's tough. But like you were saying earlier, maybe get up 15 minutes early, kind of find you a spot, get yourself ready.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we got to go right into it. But there's where the sleep is very important, and I would say I'm not the best at it because I always focus on getting more sleep, but I'm getting better at it. This Apple Watch my wife and kids bought me, which I haven't worn a watch in 40 years, but I started tracking my sleep, and I
Good.
sleep a lot less than I actually thought I was. So I
Yeah.
got a lot of practice to do.
Yeah. Well, I see there's a lot of questions here. Some people checking in next week. Caroline, Super Yacht Services. We love you, Caroline. I'd love to see you
Yes, Caroline.
live chat. And then there's Chris Cole. You sound interesting, Chris. Reach out. We'll have a chat if you want. Any questions you've got. I'm glad you're doing your Yacht Masters. I learned something this week, Scott and Alex, that your mind is the master of all, but your brain
Yes,
is the master of your mind.
yes,
Wow.
most definitely is.
That's a great way to end this off, Captain Liam.
That's
So
right.
Yeah.
that's why the breath work's important. How long would you say that for those who lack time, because usually on board you just got to jump up and get straight into it. Like, what's a good amount of time to focus on your breath just before the day kicks off?
Well, there's a couple of things you can do. Box breathing, where you do 4 seconds in, pause, and 4 seconds out, and then pause, and then do it and repeat until you're relaxed. Or you can do what's called coherence breathing, where you do 6 seconds in, 6 seconds out, and you do it at a slow pace for about 5 minutes, and that syncs up your brain and your heart. So that, but you can only do it. You just do it until you feel better, and that'll really be helpful. But in
Or
addition
hide
to
in the
what you're
bilge or something?
yeah, in addition to what you just said, Liam, is that monks before they learn anything, they learn to breathe first before they learn any knowledge,
Cool.
because they
Well,
feel that's a gateway to the brain. So is right in alignment with exactly what you said.
yeah, I didn't know it. I only learned it. You've introduced me to it, Scott, and I'm eternally grateful. And I've done some research, and I'm on it.
Well, thanks, man. Well,
That's
we
really
should do a breathwork session sometime.
Next
Definitely.
week, that ties in perfectly for our
all
next
right.
week's session.
You can start us
Yeah.
off next week, Scott. So everyone, it's Tuesday check-in. It's just something to give back to the community and make sure you look around the people, the people around you, ask them how they are, see how you can help them, look after your crew, create a healthy crew culture. Any final words, Alex and Scott?
No, just thank you guys for everything, and we'll just keep working on it to make everything better. And let us know if you guys need anything.
Yeah,
There's a saying in South Africa, don't be a poes, be lekker. And I encourage all of you to live that as well.
all right.
See
Thanks, guys.
Stay
see you
season,
next week.
fellas.
Cheers.
All right, guys.
I don't know how to turn this off, actually.
Yeah, neither do I.
Just gonna press leave, right? Cheers,
I'll press,
Liam.
I'll press the cross.